So how you feeling today, Chief? A little excitement?
I feel really good. I am very excited to be back with the department. I miss the men and women of the department. We're one big family, and it's good to be back with the family, and I miss the community. It's a great community to be part of, and really look forward to being back with folks out on the street, seeing what's going on, and diving back into things.
What's going to be different under your second regime here?
Well, I want to take the time to listen to folks. I really want to get to know what's been going on with officers. I want to get to know them. I want to hear back from them what they've been seeing. I've been gone for 8 years. A lot's changed. I've been involved in the world of policing, but I've been involved in a different way. So I really want to hear from the officers. I want to hear from the community. I want to take what I've learned over the last 8 years. I want to remember some of the lessons that I learned while I was here for 23 years. So as far as what's going to be different, I really want to take stock in what's been going on with the community and helping to build a partnership. Because at the end of the day, you can't have public safety without having a true partnership between the police department and the community and working together to forge a partnership forward to really solve the issues at hand and get to the root cause of issues. There's a lot of barriers out in the community to what's going on with people. And at the end of the day, if we don't work together, we're not going to solve those issues.
It seems as though Albany is more violent than it was when you were here 8 years ago. Does that worry you? Do you think there's a gang problem in Albany?
I think there's a plethora of issues. I think there's issues with kids that get involved with groups and with gangs that we have to identify, and we have to address those issues with their families, with the community. We have to figure out why they're getting involved in those things. I know there's some domestic issues that we have to address, but we have great partners. We have partners with the state, we have partners in the federal government, we have partners in the community that we can help to address those issues. Again, we can't do that alone. At the end of the day, we can only arrest so many people, we can only incarcerate so many people. We have to really address the trauma and harm that's happening before somebody picks up a gun.
What's the first thing you do when you walk off that podium after being sworn in?
Try to talk to officers and community to really get a hold of what they've been seeing and to really get a hold of what some of their ideas are.
So your first days and weeks are really a lot about communication, you're telling me?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Will you bring any of the philosophies that you had with LEAD here?
Oh, without a doubt. Again, we have to make sure that, for a few reasons. First and foremost, when it comes to folks with substance use disorders, folks with mental health, folks that are living in poverty, and that are committing offenses that are based on those, we need to continue to ultimately divert them out of the system. Overloading the system with those folks does not work. We know that. We have the proof of years and years of the war on drugs. We have the proof of trying to put people in jail and in prison and trying to address substance use and mental health and poverty through that, and ultimately just continuing to create more harm and more trauma. So we know that we have better ways to do that. We know we can have a harm reduction approach to that. We also know that we have issues when it comes to hiring and retention right now. We know that we're down officers, so we have to reduce the workload. So we can do that if we can ultimately focus on the right things. You brought up violence. Well, we can focus on violence if we can ultimately have other folks deal with issues around substance use, around homelessness, around poverty. So that's where those partnerships come into place.
Does bail reform here in New York State make your job harder?
I'm not going to get into the political issues. I know that that's been a political issue for a lot of people. To me, I don't have an issue with the fact that we're trying to treat people with equity. I don't have an issue with the fact that we're trying to say, hey, just because somebody can't afford bail, we're not going to keep them in. I think if we all do our jobs, if we all stay in our lanes, we can ultimately still have a safe society. I understand everybody's looking for a simple solution. Everybody's trying to say, hey, if it wasn't for A, we would have B. To me, bail reform hasn't kept us from arresting people. It hasn't kept us from diverting people and trying to get them to the right thing. So we just have to do our jobs. It might be a little more difficult at times, but I think we can still do our jobs.
Do you think the streets will be safer once you take office, once you take control?
It's not about me. It's about a partnership.
And that partnership goes for a year, basically, until there's a new mayor. And I know you joked around saying you wouldn't take the job because you want to stay married, but would you look at taking the job full-time in a year?
We'll take that step when that step comes.
And are you still working for LEAD at all, or is that done?
I'm going to help consult with them a little bit, but at the end of the day, this is my full-time job.
And again, I just want to go back to the gangs question one more time, because I asked it as a twofold question. Do you think Albany has a gang problem?
We've always had gangs. It's not an issue of whether or not we have gangs, because we always have youth. We always have people that are looking. They're looking for a place to land. They're looking for a home. They're looking for somewhere to belong. So we have to ultimately provide a different avenue for them. We have to look for a way to address that. We have to make sure that somebody's not picking up a gun. We have to make sure somebody's not involved in violence. The police play one part of that. There are multiple other partners that play a role in that as well. And I look forward to working with those other partners to address those issues.